Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is a webinar on an introduction to Confluence. My name is Tony Hartsfield. I am an Atlassian certified professional and a consultant with Valiantys. Valiantys is a platinum solutions partner for Atlassian products. I'll do the shameless self-promotion a little bit later as well, but thank you for joining me. For the next hour or so, we're going to be diving into the features of Confluence, starting with just the basics and then showing you how the tool can really be used to leverage Confluence with your project teams and your organization, especially as it integrates with other Atlassian products. Um, so we're going to first talk about then what is Confluence itself, just some basics there. I'll show you the editing capabilities, um, show you how it can be used for your project reporting, project teams, how it could also be used as a content portal for even non-IT teams, project teams. Um, Over the last year or so, Confluence Cloud has added some new features, and I want to highlight a couple of those things as well. So I'm actually going to be covering a lot of material in a short amount of time. So the good news is that this is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel shortly after the recording is finished. Um, After you begin to see the extensibility of the tool, we'll also just briefly hit on the idea of governance that's on there. And then I did mention I will talk fast. And the purpose of that is to save some time at the end so that if you have any questions, we could probably try and go through those. There is a Q&A module attached to this meeting. And so if you would like to be able to uh, uh, at ask your questions at the time. I'll entertain those at the end of the hour. I won't be paying a whole lot of attention to them up until then, but feel free to ask your questions and if we can answer those from there. So first off, what is Confluence? Well, Confluence is Atlassian's tool that is a wiki-style editor, and the purpose of it is for documentation functions. You can also use it as an information sharing portal for your content. And because of that, it becomes a really powerful reporting mechanism for your Jira projects and your Jira Service Management projects. If you're using Jira Service Management, Confluence is where your knowledge base articles are held. So when your customers go to your help portal and begin to make a request, the knowledge base articles can be presented to your customers then, and possibly do a request avoidance because they get their answers from your knowledge base. Well, those articles are housed in a Confluence space. Great tool for doing that as well. What we're going to see is I'm going to briefly be covering a lot of things, and so hopefully you'll see this is a really flexible tool. It's customizable, and that gives us really a great way to make the information visually appealing and also efficient in communicating with your folks. Um, what is the structure of Confluence? If you're familiar with Jira, Jira works in what's called projects, and those are the containers. And then inside of the projects are your issues or items of work. Well, a similar kind of structure in Confluence. Confluence contains what's called a space. And then inside the space are the pages of content. And I'll also be talking about some of the other types of content pages that are now available to you. But the thought is, before something like Confluence, the question is, where are your people getting their information? They asked for a form. Well, did you check our intranet site? They asked for a policy. Well, did you not get the email that we sent you 6 months ago? If you asked for the request for a new process, well, go see this person. And so your people are having to go to all these disparate places to get information. What Confluence is designed to do is to be the central location that your people come to. And then that information is either in Confluence or linked to Confluence. So that's a single source of information for them to go to and streamlining those processes. And so if your space for where the people goes to, what kinds of spaces can you have? Well, maybe a space in your Confluence instance is going to be about obviously your IT projects. That's certainly a possible one, but it could be the team or the team that's working on multiple projects. And I'll show you a couple of examples of those toward the end of the things. It might be your department, and it doesn't have to be your IT department. It could be your accounting, your HR, your recruiting, library, etc. Um, and then as we begin to talk about all these things, and I mentioned the idea of governance, we highly recommend that even your governance committee has a space in Confluence instance in order to be able to help your community and help your space administrators know how to use the tool itself. And then lastly, with Confluence Cloud, um, is the option of having what's called a personal space, and out of the box by default everyone who joins your Confluence space gets a personal space, but you as the Confluence administrator would have the ability to control whether or not even that functionality is there. But it's a question that you might want to ask as far as, do you want people to have places for those, especially if you're using the social aspects of Confluence. In other words, people might be using their personal space for blog posts for your company to read, et cetera, and they want to follow the content of certain leaders in your Confluence instance. That's where it can be used from there. So you're seeing a lot of potential uses for the Confluence space itself. Um, So having said that, one last disclaimer that I'll mention, by the way, this is cloud, and this instance is a premium license instance, and so it has a few features that are not part of the standard setting. And so if that sparks a conversation with your leadership and potentially even us, we'd be happy to talk about some of those things to show you some of the differences that are in there. But I happen to be in a space right now, and let's start talking about just some of the basic features that I can use with this. First off is just simply basic text editing. And this is a page. So what you're looking at then is the space. And on the left sidebar is the navigation. And then this is the page tree that I have inside of it. And this is the page that I've currently selected. In a moment, I'm going to open this in edit mode. I'm in publish mode right now. So you're seeing the final project. But I'll open it in edit mode so you can kind of peel behind the curtains to see how this is created. Um, and as I do so, what you're going to see is a basic formatting toolbar that comes with your page editing. And so you have your title, basic text. It does use headings, and those headings can be used for navigation purposes. The links can be used for sending people directly to a particular location of the page. You, of course, have basic text effects. You have bullets. You have um, numbered items, and all of those across are on this toolbar across the top. You have a basic color palette that you can choose. You have some other text effects that you can choose from there as well. Um, so fairly straightforward. You do have some alignment options from there. Also, as I scroll down, the next thing you see here are what are called action items, which an action item then is an internal to Confluence function that will, if you mention somebody, they will be notified via internal notification of an action item. You can also apply dates to these items as you're working on them. And that's applied there. Uh, and then also notice, as I've now scrolled down into this area here, there's another area here called layouts or sections, which allows you to control not just the look and feel of the content, but the location of the content. And so out of the box, you have a single column layout. This is what's called a right sidebar layout. And there are several that you can have to choose from. So 2, 3, right, left, or 2 sidebars. Again, the whole purpose is to be able to allow you to have some control over where the content is located. So say, for instance, you have text, and then maybe on the right-hand side, you might have a graph or a table or a chart of some sort. Speaking of tables, there's also a table tool that's in here. And you can either insert the table or draw the table as you like. And then underneath that table also comes additional tools that can take your table information and convert it into simple charts if you want to. Or you can import information into the table in order to apply the charts as well. Because this is in a commonly a shared location with your community, and respecting the permissions that you have in the space itself, if someone else has edit rights to your page, you can have what's called simultaneous editing on the page. I can't demonstrate that for you right now, but you may have seen this in other types of tools, SharePoint, Teams, etc., where as long as you have shared access, you can have simultaneous editing of a page, which is a great feature. For example, how we use it at Valiantys with our clients is that we'll have our weekly sync meeting with our clients, and someone has the meeting notes page open, but we might have more than one person in that meeting notes page because one person is presenting the next topic, the other person is taking notes, or some person is taking notes on the action items and someone else is taking notes on observations of team dynamics. Um, so it's a great tool that you can have for that, or you're just simply working together to process the document. That's a great thing about those as well. Um, you'll notice here this yellow highlight. That's for commenting. Another way to interact with the pages, and in Confluence Cloud, you can do this whether you're in published mode or in edit mode as well, is that you can simply select text and begin to add additional comments. Commenting then can allow you to interact with your fellow readers and content editors as you're still building this particular document. And then you have the ability to resolve your comments. You can also access already resolved comments so that the history of it stays with you as well. A lot of great tools allow you to work with this. So uh, comments can also be at the bottom of the page. When I get out of edit mode in just a moment, you'll also see that comments can be both inline like this, or they can be at the bottom of the page, and you'll see that structure as well. Um, So I scroll down the page. The next function that you can have in Confluence is linking. One of the governance questions we might ask is, where should the content live? Does it need to live in Confluence, or can it be a link to something that's in another repository? So wherever you keep your documents, wherever you keep your video content, maybe you have a learning management system and you don't need to copy these things into there. You just want to have a link to them. Well, Confluence Cloud is a great tool for managing links. There's several different ways that it can show you those particular links. In fact, let me actually get out of this particular edit mode to show you how they display. So they can either display as what's called the inline. You can have it as what's called a card. You can just simply have the simple URL. And again, here's another card for an external site. But one of the great features of linking in Confluence Cloud is the ability to embed. And this is, by the way, a Google Doc that I have access to that we share in our company. And instead of putting an attachment of the document into Confluence, which, by the way, an attachment by very definition is a copy of the existing, and if you make changes to the existing, well, then your copy is obsolete. And so one of the governance recommendations is, as much as possible, share the single source of your content. In this case, the document lives elsewhere, but it is something that I have the ability to edit in there. So it's a very powerful place to embed. It also automatically understands media, and so certain media files. So your videos from your LMS, we've placed content from our YouTube channel, other type of sound files, etc. You can just simply embed them onto the page, and the person doesn't have to leave your Confluence space to go watch that particular video. So it does a great line work with linking. There's another tool, by the way, that is available as a content page, and that's called what they call a smart link, which an entire page can be a media file of some sort. It also connects to several different types of things, whether it's a Trello board, a Miro board, many multiple types of content can be placed on their own page, a Slack channel, so that you could have that displayed as well. So great stuff. I'll have another couple of examples of how that can be used as well from there. So content, layouts, linking, but it does also handle attachments, because you can't avoid attachments despite the governance rule of trying to have a single source of information. Sometimes the attachment's going to be, that's going to be where the message is. It's going to be where um, the screenshot is, your org chart, etc. And so it handles those things well, despite my error message here about this PDF. That that attachment might have been moved. But here I'm using, this is a basic layout again, a 2-column layout. Here is the text. Here is the inline image. And notice it has a word wrap function as well. So you can have it placed as on its own line, or in line with the text itself. There are lots of types of things that you can attach from there, and most of the time it does a thumbnail of the PDF document, the Word document, the whatever, the Google Sheet, whatever it happens to be, and then they can simply click on it and download from there. But there's also a macro, and by the way, macro is a word that sometimes intimidates people who think it has to do with programming. The way Confluence uses the word macro, by the way, is just simply a way to display information or to navigate to information. So it's really not anything terribly complex. But this macro then can show you all of the attachments that this page has. And you simply, instead of embedding it onto the page, using this macro, so say for instance, at the end, you then have your policies or you have your QA steps. And instead of attaching it as a thumbnail on the page, you just simply add the macro so people can download as they need to those forms, those policies, those steps. And that's what allows you to do that. And they can download individuals, they can preview, or they can download all as a zip. So all these things are technically considered macros. So the action items, the links, all those is what Confluence calls macros. But there are several other macros that are used for content formatting and content navigation that we love to use all the time here at Valiantys, but they're just great tools that are in there. And so let me show you a couple of ones. These are called a status macro. And what's cool about these I'm sorry, these are info panel macros. And you have several different built-in ones: success, information, warning, note, error. But what's really nice about this as well is that you can even have your own custom one, where you either put in your own emoji or you have no emoji, but you just want the color that's in there. This is a great tool, by the way, without requiring a plugin, to have background color behind your text. It's another way to draw the eye to the page if you need to highlight, especially say, imagine you're using those layouts where you can have one layout in one color, the middle layout might be white, and then another color on the right-hand side. Could be useful tools for you to manage those. Here's the status macro. These are simple. It creates um, what Atlassian calls a lozenge, and it's just simply text inside of color. And we use these all the time. That you can just determine how they're used. I'll show you an example of how we use them when we are in our engagement pages. Another great tool for managing vertical scrolling is called the expand macro. The expand macro is this great tool where you have a title, but then you can expand it to see the content. So maybe you've got a lot of policies on a page and you just simply have the policy title, and then they expand to see what the policy definition is, or your QA processes. You have 5 steps to QA. You're going to use the expand macro to show them the actual what they need to do in each one of those steps, so that people, once they know that, they just know the order of the processes. But again, a great way to manage vertical scroll space on your page, especially for those who are using the mobile instance to view the pages. It just simply helps reduce the amount of scrolling. Other macros for things like navigation, the table of contents tool is using the headings and other leads that you can do. This is just like the table of contents for this particular page. And so clicking on that link would allow me to navigate to any one of those from there. Or I could copy the link and paste that into um, uh, a message, an email message for somebody. Here's something called a page tree, which basically looks at all the pages that you have on this space or even another space and tells them what all the pages are, including if they had child pages that they can see from there, and even search for page names from there. So those are some great tools just for visualizing things. But what really begins to make Confluence powerful is that it is tightly integrated with other Atlassian products, especially Jira. So for those of you that are using Jira for your projects, this is a great place that you can use for surfacing information from Jira into your page. The simple things are something like being able to simply paste a link to an issue. Now, you do have to have the ability to view the issue in Jira, but here it is. What's even more powerful about this particular view, so what I've done here is I have embedded an issue from a Jira project onto my Confluence page. And because I've embedded it, just like you saw me do earlier with that Google's page, where I could edit the page, I can edit this issue from my Confluence page. Great, great tool without having to necessarily navigate to it. Other ways that you can link it, this is linking it as a card. You can also link it um, as a link, but notice here I have also the ability to progress the issue on the statuses in its workflow without having to leave the page itself. It also has several other macros that can show you, and these are just common ones I want to show you. This is a Jira filter, a JQL filter, looking at certain issues, whatever the criteria is, and then it's displaying for you the results of those issues. And then using the exact same filter, displaying it as a as a pie chart. So what is this beginning to introduce to you? Well, that this might be a great tool for um, for making your reporting from there. One other thing I want to show you, so this is taking content from Jira and placing it in there. I also do want to show you that you can create content in Jira from your pages. So this is in publish mode. Again, just like you saw me do with a comment, I can select text and I have the ability to create an issue from the Confluence page. Think of this as you have your meeting notes. And from your meeting notes, you then, after you have your meeting, you want to generate some tasks in the associated Jira project from there. Great way to do this. You can also do this. May have a table of them. You can create a series of ones from a table. I can select, and notice here, create issue. I have the ability to create multiple issues from a table from there. So great tools from there. Okay, so I've again, I'm moving fast, I know, and I've covered a lot of material here so far. But now that you've seen some of these capabilities, let's see what it looks like onto how we actually use it at Valiantys. And so I'm going to move into another space. And when we work with our clients, we typically will build what's called an engagement uh, space for them, either on one of our instances or on their instance, which we actually prefer because then we can leave behind the artifacts that are there. But this is a typical setup of what we do. So taking all that information of text formatting, of layouts, of macros, then what do we do? Well, this is um, uh, a, a two-column layout here. And what you're seeing here is just simply a table. There is the status button of where we are. Now, this is a premium, Confluence premium utility called calendars that you can either build, or you can import a calendar into it. How we use it is for when uh, uh, when we need the team and the client to know what our schedules are going to be, if we're going to be out of town or on vacation, we put in company holidays. We also put major events in the project. So an upgrade is taking place or a migration day. We want to make sure that everybody knows when those things are taking place. And so we'll add those. And so what you're beginning to see then, as I scroll down, and I'll explain what some of these other things are, is that possibly Confluence is the place where you might do your reporting instead of in Jira itself. Now, Jira is the source of where the work is taking place. That's where your project teams are doing their work. And they're probably going to rely on a Jira dashboard and the Jira boards themselves to see their progress on their work. But for your stakeholders, for your PMO, for your C-suite, or just the project team members who just aren't necessarily working in it, but want to see what's going on, Confluence really might be your place to be the reporting location for the information because it's so flexible and because it's not just the information from Jira, but you're going to have the ability to have manage the message because you have the table tools, you have all these other text tools, you have the layouts. And what it allow you to do is not only present the information, but give the viewers context. Here's what you're looking at. Here's what we want you to notice. Here's a trend that we're noticing on this. Here's why we think this is happening. All of that information you can manage that message so that your users not only can see the information, but understand the information and comprehend it, and then be able to move forward as your organization does. So um, great, great tool. And of course, it's easy to update these things from there. So what do we see on this? Again, so a simple table, the calendar, and then this is a link to an advanced roadmap plan from the JIRA project. A simple link. It is a read-only link, but it does expand so that they can see. So in this case, here are my epics and there are my child issues. So people can see this. If I actually do need to see a particular issue, I can click it and it will take me to that issue in JIRA itself. But a great tool for helping your PMO, your stakeholders, see the potentially the timeline, where things are in progress. Great tool from there. These are, again, issue filters uh, as a Jira macro. And so what we do is place it in a table like this. And so these are items that have been done this last week, items that are in progress, and items that are still in the backlog of our particular project. But you'll notice then you have not only the information, but you have this text which describes what you're looking at. And that's what makes this so useful. Here is that info panel. Here is another, this is simply another table. Again, using an issue filter based upon, I believe this is on a label, but then here's the exact same issue filter created as a pie chart. Here is that attachment macro that I mentioned that we saw on the other page. And so what we do with this is that we'll take a screenshot or capture the meeting notes or the last time this group met as a report, and then that way, because when they come to this page the next time, it'll be updated. It's automatically updated. But if they want to see what the status was then, so previous notes are here. The ability to download as well. Here is that expand macro again, and we use that. Typically, we'll put on our engagement page the statement of work, so that at any point, if we need to be reminded of what the scope of the project is, we have that statement of work in there as well. So again, just putting all these things together as a tool like that, hopefully you're seeing that this is a flexible tool and a useful tool for doing multiple things, especially the idea of reporting on your projects. This is an IT one, but let me switch to a different type of space. Imagine your marketing department has several teams and working on several projects. How might they do that as well? And so let me move over to that one. Let me go over to a different space and go to the marketing space. Um, and uh, how they might lay out those other things. If I, you know what, I need to show you something first. Let me go back to that engagement page. The other thing is, here's the layout just to show you again, the engagement page. That was the dashboard, but this is where we keep our meeting notes, contact list, our risk register, any type of documentation, agile team playbooks. So this is a really useful single location for those things. Going back to the marketing space, how might marketing do this? Well, they have an intro to the team page, which talks about what their purpose in the company is, who they are. And this, by the way, is a template. There's actually called a Meet the Team template that is available as a page template in your Confluence instance itself. So we didn't build this. We just simply filled out the content. But a series of this is using a series of the info panels with just the text background color. This is a table. These are links. There's a macro called latest updates. And then this is just simply links added into the text itself. These are uh, uh, the avatar pictures of the users. And again, that's another macro that's being used in that from there. They're using that calendar again. They're using links. And then they have their own project dashboard, which has some similar things, but this is another macro called a page status. And what happens is on all these other pages is content. And that content then is collected onto a single page as a report so they can see with a single look how everybody's doing. So you notice there are 5 different groups or teams of projects that are working in this marketing uh, department. And then they also then have their roadmap. And then as you begin to break down, so this is the overall view, but then each project also has their own page so they can meet from there. So it doesn't have to be a space per project. This is the marketing department, and they've just simply dedicated a page to each of their departments from there. Again, they're also using their meeting notes. Again, this is another um, template that comes um, um, with your Confluence instance. There's like 130 templates available on a variety of uses and topics, and they're customizable. So if you do the 5 whys, or you do your different types of SWOT, um, whatever you're working on, there's most likely going to be a template that you can use based upon that. But so this one is the meeting notes one. It has both the meeting notes themselves, and it has a cover meeting notes wrap up, which tells you what action items were listed, um, what decisions, and then other meeting notes that are available to you from there. And then the individual meeting notes are listed here. Here is a link to a Miro board that you can do that, and you can do this either as its own page, or you can do it as what's called the smart link. I think I've got a couple smart links down on this page as well. Here is a Trello board. By the way, Trello, if you haven't used it, is another Atlassian project. It's a fairly straightforward board for tasks for pull projects. We use this in several of our idea management ideas instead of using it as its own Jira project. Several of my colleagues use Trello just simply to manage their own personal lives. It's their to-do list from there. So if you haven't tried Trello, there is a free version of it. You might find it's useful, and then your company might be using it as well. And then again, embedding documents, whether you can edit them. This one I have only view rights to, but then this one again, I have edit rights to. I can underline, I can bold, I can add text to. So again, great ways for managing that content on their own pages. And then I had mentioned a couple of other items of how content can be added to your page. About a year ago, and it was in beta form, and now it's live. This is called database. And the database can be any number of things, but you have the ability to have a variety of fields that are connected to your Jira instance. This is simply a database based upon a project in Jira itself. You may have, if you're in Jira Cloud has started to add this database view, list view, into company managed projects now. Um, and that's what allows you to do. But this, you can see it. You have the ability to uh, see the priorities, whatever you want to make the changes to. And then you can see just tasks not done. You have the ability to filter, sort. This is a great tool that is just now starting to be leveraged in Confluence itself. So it might be, again, another way for your stakeholders or your teams to view the issues without having to navigate to Jira itself. You bring Jira to Confluence. And then another content type that was added in the last year and is now out of beta form is now called whiteboards. Now, you may use a Miro board already, but this is a pretty powerful tool that's built into Confluence now, especially for Confluence Premium, but it's also in Confluence Standard. And that's the ability to have your whiteboards in your Confluence space itself. You people can access them, you can edit them. There are several templates that are built into it, and there's integration with Jira. You can have your whiteboard elements that actually either create Jira issues or can be created by Jira issues. Links to there. So another powerful tool. So is it a page? Well, technically, I guess not, but it is another content type that is available to you from there. So um, I'm hoping you're seeing a lot of flexibility within this, and that Atlassian continues to improve and add additional functionality from in there. There's a couple other things I want to talk about as well before we finish, but I do want to take a moment to tell you a little bit about who we are as Valiantys. Valiantys is a platinum solution partner for Atlassian. We're considered the premier Atlassian partner for a couple of reasons. One, because of our size, our locations, and our number of certified professionals. Um, Valiantys is a global company. We're on 6 continents. And I think technically we can say the sun doesn't set on Valiantys anymore, which means that we can likely have uh, uh, consultants, Valiantys professionals, in your time zone or very near your time zone, wherever you happen to be. North America presence, we are the largest North American provider and in both US and Canada. So through growth and judicious acquisitions, we're happy to help as much as we can. What do we do? Well, we can offer licensing. So if you're considering managing the licenses of your Atlassian products, that's something that we have a whole team that's dedicated to making sure you have the right license at the right license level for you, and that nothing lapses and that you're not overspending for those particular things. We can once it's also licensed, we can also help you with the installation, with the setup, with the migration, all those things. We do lots of consulting from there. Um, um, for how to use your tools. We can also do custom development if you're needing particular views, particular interactions with other tools that you have in your ecosphere. We've developed many tools, and some of them are available on the marketplace that can be used to assist you. We also have a team of full stack developers that can write custom queries, custom scripts, develop whole screens, all these kinds of things, just mentioning 4 of those from there. And then we also offer training. Huh. Um, you're here now, and every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Time, we offer a webinar on a variety of topics, including Intro to Confluence. And this is a great opportunity for your stakeholders even to, without a lot of contact or a lot of obligation, can see some great content, get basic information about this stuff to do so. And so we do this actually a couple of times a week. We also have several others available on our YouTube channel. Um, remember, I'm talking really fast about Confluence. We actually offer a full 1 day hands-on deep dive boot camp class on Confluence where you not only get to see me talk about it, but you actually get to touch it and work with it. It's also it's a attached to our Jira boot camp, which is a 3 day intensive deep dive into Jira itself. We'll show all the things project management and Jira administration from there. So you can find those as well in there. We have several other boot camps and other classes that we offer. So please feel free to view our training services there. The other thing that we have is a tremendous uh, uh, YouTube channel. Um, Odds are, if you're going to Google a question in Jira and look for it in media, you're going to likely stumble upon one of our videos. Um, we've got folks that are adding content daily. We pride ourselves in learning and in sharing, and we love sharing internally, but we also love sharing with the overall using community of Atlassian tools. Um, there are some serious nerds in my colleagues list who love to discover things and they love to share things. There's a whole series of things in here, but again, if you're looking for something about um, portfolio management, if you're looking for things on governance, if you're looking for JSM tools, if you're looking for understanding of project permissions, all these things are up here. And so you're seeing just some great contents in there. I encourage you to spend some time on our YouTube channel just to be able to see that. So, okay. Um, so as we're looking at these pages, then what we're seeing then is um, that this really is a central location to the organized knowledge portal for your people. Again, the content doesn't have to live in Confluence, but this is where your people come to see those things. Um, and that reduces the confusion, it reduces redundancy. Um, uh, I'll say it again, it reduces redundancy um, so that you can see everything that's on there. Um, and so hopefully you're seeing between this one and between our other one there that this is, you'll find that this can be a really useful tool from there. A couple other tools I want to talk about that have been surfaced with cloud now that we are in it, and that is if I go onto this page again, um, AI, Atlassian Intelligence, has been now enabled, and it's how it's used in Confluence. Well, what you can do first off is you can use it to help summarize a page, and so it'll just especially if you have a lengthy page filled with policies, etc. This gives you a quick overview of what's going on. There's also summarizing of comments if you have them from there as well. AI is also used in automation. Automation was enabled in Confluence Premium, um, and at first I didn't really appreciate what all this was doing, but now I'm starting to kind of like what you can do with automation rules. And they keep adding stuff all the time. When this first got added, there's about four available rules that are on there. But things like um, when you're creating pages, to go ahead and add labels to them. This is terrific for your knowledge base, by the way, is they can automatically add labels that function when your customers are at your help portal again. Uh, Content is surfaced by label. And this is a great way to do those things. Managing the page owner, scheduling things. So just great things there. Creating new databases, which is also kind of cool as well. Um, Publish a page and a label when a Jira issue is created. Create an issue with a summary with action items that are on there. Change a page status. Another cool thing about cloud is that your pages can have a status. It's in draft, it's in progress process, it is published, and or even your own custom statuses if you want to do those things. Manage sprints. I love these collaborate things. You have a weekly meeting that your team has to sync. Um, well, and it's already scheduled. Well, you could have it automatically create the meeting notes page for you so that you don't have to remember to do that at the meeting time itself. Is that a difficult task? Not at all. But anything that those repetitive tasks that Confluence can do for you that's in there. And again, they're just adding a whole bunch of the things that are on here. And there's also a a, a place in Atlassian itself that has their suggestions for how to use automation from there for both here in Confluence and in Jira. If you haven't been to the Jira automation library, check it out. It's awesome. It's got some great things that are on there. So we've talked about then the additional ones of the whiteboards, the databases, the smart links, and how AI is used, and then how even AI is used in automation rules. You could say, okay, remind me or tell me, create something based upon this, or when I create this new page, tag these people. All that stuff can be done with your automation rules. So um, all that is to say that Confluence is an incredibly flexible tool. And because it's so flexible and so extensible, that also means that it can be a mess if you don't have some governance. In fact, what we say at Valiantys is that without governance, all you're going to do is amplify your company's dysfunction. And so we have to take advantage of these things. And so governance is also for every engagement that we have with our clients. We talk the importance of governance itself. We even have uh, we now even have a 1-day governance boot camp that we can have with your leadership, with your project team, just to talk about how you're going to use, how you're going to manage content, both in Jira and Confluence and Jira Service Management, or really even in how you manage your intelligence in your company. This is yes, it is a project management, it is an ITSM topic, it is an enterprise management, but it really is an enterprise management uh, issue that we can help you with if you want to. In fact, eventually, what we're moving as Valiantys, we don't want to just be Atlassian experts. We really want to be your IT consultants for all things ESM. And that's where we talk governance quite a bit then. As far as Confluence goes, what needs to be managed then? What are you concerned about? Well, the two things are, is you want to manage uh, the uh, the content itself, things like naming conventions, things like where content should live, etc. And then you then want to also manage who has the ability, who has access to those things. And so those are the basics that one helps you avoid things like confusion. Where is that information? And it also really helps you reduce the possibility of content being duplicated or placed in multiple locations. The idea of single location, surface maybe reveal it in most places, but the managing of the content in a single place. We love having that conversation with people dealing with standardization of content and managing permissions, if we can help you with that. And understand, by the way, there isn't a single answer. We have our best practices that we like to share, but your organization may be different. But it's worth that conversation of understanding, well, what does that mean? How do we use this tool in our context? And if we can help with that conversation, we'd love to have it. We'll have our contact information at the end. So I have covered an awful lot of information. And I hope that you've seen that this is a powerful, powerful tool in a very short amount of time, by the way, I've done that. But I want to take a moment and pause for just a second to see, do you have any particular questions or ideas that I touched on that maybe you'd like to know a little bit more about? So let me pause and see if there are any questions. I've opened up the Q&A. Feel free to use the Q&A panel. I'll open that up. Uh, types of questions that I really didn't even get to touch on here is the ability to um, secure pages. So you can restrict an entire space. You can limit the audience, or you can limit it to just people or groups. Um, Maybe you want them just to view, but you don't want them to be able to comment. Speaking of comments, let me drop down to the bottom of this page. So we saw inline comments in the text above, but here is the comment section beneath, and it has the full editing toolbar, so you can have not only the text, you can use your status bars, you can add tables, you can add other macros that are in there to draw the eye to the content itself. So you can really collaborate on the pages themselves. But again, you can restrict whether or not people can do that, whether they can even comment, or they just read, or do they have edit permissions. By the way, your knowledge base articles from your help portal in your service management, your customers are able to read the articles. They can't comment or do anything else, but they are able to read it. And the good news is your JSM customer group, they do not require a Confluence license to be able to see those articles. And so um, when they first started adding these a couple of years ago, there's some real panic because people thought, well, gosh, I'm going to have a Confluence license for my million clients, and it's not. They're just in the group, which doesn't hold a license, but they're able to see your content from there. You can also make pages public. Um, you can make entire spaces public. That is a Confluence administration choice. There are websites that are simply Confluence pages. Atlassian's pages are mostly Confluence pages that are managed from them, and they've simply made them public. And so you can choose to do that, and you can do that at the entire instance, or just at a space level, or at a page level. You can make that available to you. Um, Well, I don't need to necessarily extend this further if you don't if we're okay. Um, this is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel. So if you need to have someone else check out this information, I hope I didn't go too fast. I know I did. Just looking at the clock, I moved pretty fast. Um, but feel free to reach out to us. We love just simply having the conversation to find out if we can bring value to you, or if we can at least have a couple of ideas. We love having that conversation. We're always open to that. Sometimes that leads to an engagement, other times it doesn't, and that's perfectly okay. We just want you to know that at Valiantys that we wish to be uh, your IT consultant, but if at the very least, hopefully you can gather information from us that might help you in your uses of Atlassian tools and other IT tools in your environment. Again, my name is Tony Hartsfield. I am a business consultant with Valiantys, a platinum solution partner for Atlassian. I thank you for your time. You've just finished the webinar for Introduction to Confluence. I hope to see you another time, hope you see you at other webinars, and hope that we can potentially have a working relationship. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great day.